We are 5 minutes away from the start of this afternoon's commencement ceremony. If you found a place to sit, that's great. Again, if you're sitting in the sun or in an area where you're not getting the breeze, be sure to drink a lot of cold beverages. We want everybody to be safe. We're 5 minutes out. We are 2 minutes away from the start of this afternoon's commencement ceremony. Keep in mind that the sidewalks will be utilized by graduates processing into the open air theaters, so let's keep the sidewalks clear at least until the graduates have made their way to their white chairs. We very much appreciate that. Good afternoon once again, everybody, and welcome to the Castle Open Air Theater here on the beautiful campus of Doane University. Will everyone who is able please stand for our processional?
Marshall.
Welcome to the 2024 Doane University Spring Commencement Celebration. I am Dr. Lori Cook Benjamin, Chief Academic Officer, and I want to especially welcome our 2024 graduates, their family members and friends, as well as the Doane University faculty and staff who have helped our graduates reach this important day. At this time, I ask Jada Wyand, class of 2024, to come forward to give our opening reflection. Please remain standing, and gentlemen, we ask that you remove your caps for the opening reflection, which will be followed by 2024 graduate Julia Ramirez singing our national anthem.
Please join me in reflection and prayer. Today we gather to celebrate the achievements of our graduates and ask for guidance and blessings to be bestowed upon each of us here today. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. Bless everyone present today, that each may be able to share his or her contributions and gifts. Grant good health and safety to loved ones not present, and bestow peace and goodwill to all of us. We ask for wisdom and grace to use our talents for the betterment of others. May the various activities related to this day be a success. With gratitude, we offer this prayer. I invite each of us to silently add a moment of personal prayer or reflection. Now let us bring our reflection or prayer to a close, each in our own way.
Please face the American flag. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Junior marshals, please post the colors.
Please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, whose ties to Doane, both past and present, are strong. Please help me welcome the 13th president of Doane University, Dr. Roger Hughes.
Thank you, Lori. Welcome, everyone. Great afternoon. Hello, welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. There we go. Let's get this party rolling. All right. Thank you so much to the Doane Concert Band under the direction of Andy Faze for playing today. Thanks also for Jada Wyand for giving the opening reflection, and Julie Ramirez for singing the national anthem. Thanks also to the facilities and ground staff for all their help in getting this beautiful area ready to go for today, and as well as thanks to all the staff that has pitched in to make this a magnificent event. Will all the veterans, as well as active members of all branches of the U.S. military, stand to be recognized? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifices. Thank you for protecting us and defending our rights. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 2024 Spring Commencement of Doane University. As we gather here on the Creek campus to celebrate this monumental achievement, one that will change the trajectory of yours and your family's lives, through your hard work, perseverance, and intellectual accomplishments, you have earned your Bachelor of Arts or Bachelors of Science. This class has had to persevere through a pandemic that forced us all to pivot so many different ways. As with any challenge, there were also hidden opportunities. We've all been forced to think and act differently. The challenge we have and the currently facing forced us to examine the way we've always done things and evolve to how many new ways can we do things. Here are some fun facts about your class. 51 of you are planning on going to grad school. 81 of you took internships for credit during your time here, and many more were taken not for credit. You have 7 individuals in your class that received Doane Scholar Awards, and 6 of you are in the honors program graduates. 46 of you presented your project at Mind Expo. As a class, you documented over 4,000 hours of community service with an economic impact of over $127,000. And you had many more undocumented hours of service as well. 33 of you were in leadership positions in student organizations. You have 5 choir soloists and 2 first chair players in our band graduating with you. 12 of you had leading roles in or directed school plays. 19 of you were captains of your respective sports teams. 24 of you completed the directions program that focused on career, leadership, and service. 8 of you studied abroad. And 7 of you created art exhibitions that were displayed in the Raw Gallery. Well done. We hope your Doane experience has exceeded your expectations. Your very presence here as a graduate speaks to your self-sacrifice, your work ethic, your intellectual acuity, and the fact that you learned success can't be attained without failure, and that greatness cannot be achieved if you become satisfied. You learned this because at Doane, we build leaders. And no leader is successful by themselves. Every successful leader has a team behind them who supported, nurtured, kicked them in the seat of their pants when they needed motivation, and gave hugs and encouragement when they needed to get up and start again. Those who provided that support to one of today's graduates, thanks so much for your investment and a special welcome to Doane. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce and welcome today's commencement speaker, Reverend Dr. Robert Polk. Dr. Polk's bio is in the program. I will share just a couple highlights. Throughout his life, Dr. Polk has been a trailblazer, the first in many areas. In 1952, he became Doane's first black graduate, a historic milestone reflecting our past and ongoing commitment to making Doane a welcoming home for all. His legacy is cemented through the Robert L. Polk Lectureship Series on Race and Social Justice, and it continues to inspire future generations. Doane College, now Doane University, is one of the many institutions Dr. Polk transformed. When faced with the initial denial of his admissions due to racial prejudice, his vision for an inclusive Doane prevailed. He was told by a dean on Doane's campus, no white person would room with you, so you can't come. Then, the late Dr. Donald Goodrich answered the call and said, I will room with him. Dr. Polk, alongside his roommate, taught an unforgettable lesson in justice and equity, changing the trajectory of our university forever. Yesterday, we memorialized Dr. Polk's legacy and his courageous efforts to build bridges and transform lives through his ministry by naming our new open-air amphitheater behind the new residence hall, Brody Hall. We named it the Robert L. Polk Open Air Theater. What's more, Dr. Polk turned 96 years young last week, and he shows no evidence of slowing down. Trust me, 2 Red Bulls and 3 cups of coffee, and I'm dragging. It is my great honor to welcome back fellow Doane Tiger, Reverend Dr. Robert Polk.
Good afternoon. Dr. Hughes, President Hughes, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty and staff, and the total Doane family, members of the Polk Lecture Committee, visitors and special guests, and my special guest, Dr. and Mrs. Taylor from Florida, my extended family from Cathedral Village in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I know many are watching today and keeping their eyes on me. Members of the graduating class of 2024, I salute you. I'm sorry I missed the choral concert last night, but I've always wanted to have the opportunity to speak to that wonderful choral group you have here, to tell you that the signature piece that you sing at the end of each concert, Precious Lord, Take My Hand, was written by one of my neighbors in Chicago, Thomas A. Dorsey. And I congratulate you on the way you sing that wonderful piece and say that no other chorus that I've ever heard in my 96 years has sung it as well. Not the Mormons, not church choirs, not anybody. So I congratulate you. These words from a great preacher of the last century, Dr. Harry Emerson Fosdick, from a hymn. Grant us wisdom, grant us courage for the facing of this hour and for the living of these days. My message today is on courage, acts of courage, being courageous. I must say that my being here is a personal act of courage at the age of 96. Mr. President, it's been a roller coaster ride for me since receiving your invitation, not only to have the new theater bear my name or to see once again the beauty of this magnificent campus, but to be the speaker at both baccalaureate and commencement. In my community, we would call that a double whammy. The great Dr. Paul Tillich of the last century, theologian, philosopher, speaker, was asked by one of his former students how he was in retirement. And Dr. Tillich responded, "My memory is waning, but my remembrances grow richer every day." My memory is waning, but my remembrances grow richer every day. This is my takeoff point when it comes to my life, and most recently, and especially when it comes to Doane University, and my long and deep sense of involvement. My thoughts and remembrances of the alma mater have taken me to joy, to deep places, and I have received here great rewards from my years at Doane College. I was where you were 72 years ago, graduates. 72 years ago. It's been a great time to think back, to support, to be a part of the Doane College family as it has grown and grown and developed and changed its motto to leaders and developing leadership. I could not be more happy in returning now to notice the great advancements and achievements that the college has achieved, but also that you, as the new graduating class of 2024, have achieved and will go on and achieve more. I must confess that I'm not one who relishes the spotlight or being out front or ever being thought of as a celebrity. I sure ain't a rock star at 96. There were no rocks when I was growing up. But, I thought to myself, I can kind of hide my humility for a little bit and accept the wonderful kudos that Doane has given me in the last several days since I've been here. and I feel like a rock star. I feel like a celebrity because the hospitality and the joy of being back to the alma mater, my foster mother, has really been extraordinary, and I've relished every bit of it. There's a little humor there we have to have periodically that's also humor that tells deep stories, even though it may sound shallow on the top. So in talking about myself and my experiences at Doane College, I thought I'd start off with a few things that I remember well when I arrived in 1949, when your grandparents weren't even born. After the first 4 or 5 weeks, I looked in the mirror. I said, my gosh, I need a haircut. I said, where would I get a haircut in Crete, Nebraska? I said, ain't no barbershops in Crete, Nebraska going to cut a black man's hair. And so the word got around, and a student caught me in the library one day. He said, I hear you're looking for a barber to cut your hair. I said, yes. He said, well, my brother was in the military in the war, and when Harry Truman integrated the troops, he was able to learn to cut black hair as well as white hair. He said, he's downtown. I recommend that you go to see him. He will be delighted to be your barber while you're here at Doane. And so I went down, and he was my barber for the next several years. I say this because, you know, sometimes people don't understand what you go through when you are the first, when everybody's not used to you. And these are the ideas that I would share with you. The second one, in terms of being the first and not being understood very well by faculty or students, was when we would go to eat in the dining room at the bottom of Fries Hall. I worked for Mrs. Ott, who was the director of dining room services. The little lady was very strong in her opinions on things, and she knew how to run the dining room in a first-class way. And so every Sunday night, maybe 3 Sunday nights out of 4, she would serve chili, and chili is my favorite dish. And so, you know, we were only allowed 1 dish of chili. Go through the line and get your chili and the fixings that go with it, and you sit down. And so some of the guys were pretty hungry by that time of night on Sunday afternoon, and they would slip back into the line, and she wouldn't know who they were because her vision was failing too. And then I thought, well, I'm going to try it too. So you got it. So I slipped through the line, and Mrs. Ott, who couldn't see, she said, I see you, Bob Polk. You've had your bowl of chili. Get out of the line. So that's the way it goes. Then my final little thought there has to do with my best friend at Doane was Walt Olson, the late Walter Olson, Reverend Walter Olson, and his wife, and they were being married just the afternoon after commencement. And Ruth's father, the bride's father, had a little reception. Her father and mother had a little reception in the dining hall for us, members of the wedding party. I had the pleasure of being Walt's best man. And the father, Mr. Ross, would go around and talk to each person about each person. When he got to me, he said, Bob Polk, he said, you are the Jackie Robinson of Doane College. I said, well, isn't that nice? So thank you. So that was indeed a privilege to have him say that. But you know, many people know about my applying to Doane College originally and being turned down by the dean of students because no white student wanted to live with me. And then we went to the agencies of the church officials, and they sent a second letter 3 or 4 weeks later, and we were admitted. But few people know about my earlier time at Doane 3 years before I attempted to enroll, along with my church youth group classmate, Georgette Weaver. We both were denied admission with the excuse that there would be no white students willing to room with black students. And so I had an opportunity to know about this place before I ever applied. In 1946, I was a senior in high school, and my minister and his wife wanted me to attend a national church youth conference at a place called Doane College in a place called Crete, Nebraska. Well, I'm from Chicago South Side, and I had no idea where Doane College was, where Crete, Nebraska was. And so it was the day after our prom, and I went out with my two best friends and our dates, and we were all spiffed up with bow ties, thank you very much, hand-tied. And after the prom, we went to our favorite restaurant, and we felt that we were old enough to order our adult drinks, and the drinks in those days were Tom Collins and rum and Coke. And we had a big dinner and had a great time. But I had to leave early, and that was one of the things that annoyed me. Take my date home and get back home and help my sister wash and iron my clothes to go to Doane College in Crete, Nebraska. And I had two chips on my shoulder. Two chips on my shoulder. One was from living in Chicago, which was one of the most racist cities of its size in the United States, in the northern part of the United States. Chicago was a very racist city. The issues like racial injustice could be seen and felt daily among the black population there. And though I had ingrained negative attitudes toward white people. And so I didn't really want to go to this conference because it would be an all-white conference in the all-white, basically, Congregational church. And of course, the second chip on my shoulder was the fact that I had to leave early and take my date home early, and she wasn't happy, and that was probably more important than the first trip. I had never traveled alone before, nor had I even seen a small college campus before. This was a new experience for me. However, the entire experience on campus was so beautiful, the location was so beautiful, the programs and all the things that took place were so beautiful, I couldn't believe how much I had been missing. We had courses on social action, on personal action, and finding God, and political responsibility. There were worship gatherings and great singings outside of Fries Hall, a cappella, glorious sounds that overflowed this campus. We had dancing and socialization, all the things that you and many of you have experienced going to your denomination's national or even state conference. And that was a big thing back in the 40s and the 50s. At the end, I was elected secretary of the National Pilgrim Fellowship Group. I knew absolutely nothing about what a secretary was supposed to do. There I was, foiled again. But the assistant secretary, a young lady, she was smart, and she knew what to do, and she pulled me through. I had never been exposed to such an occasion like this. There was such a feeling of acceptance and a feeling of fellowship and a feeling of oneness among the people. And all the attitudes that I had to melt down because they were unjust. It was unjust of me to think that way. And the upshot of it was that at the age of 18, my life direction became a big change that I had to concern myself with. A profound Christian experience took place, and I encountered all of this here at Doane College. So you, Doane University, are in a main way responsible for me and what I've done in 70 plus years since I was sitting where you graduates are, and the rest of my life. We had 3 Native American girls from a reservation in North Dakota. We had several Hawaiian young ladies at this conference who had beautiful leis on, and they were beautiful too. We had Japanese Americans who had been in relocation camps in parts of our country. We had all kinds of people in small numbers, like a few black people, like myself. And they all had stories to tell. And if they were not on the program, then we would cluster together, and I was able to listen to their stories. There was one group that I was not quite sure about. They were called COs. And for my community, we didn't know what a CO was. Three seminary students and one minister had just been released from prison. And I was just astounded to know that seminarians and preachers would be in prison. only to discover they were conscientious objectors from the last war, the Second World War, and they had been imprisoned because they dared to take a stand. They dared to be courageous enough to say they refused to go into a war and fight. And so, Doane University, you are responsible for me. I had the assumption, and when I went back home to tell my friends and my family, all white folks aren't bad. Had a great time. And I assumed that going to college at a small campus was going to be just like that conference. That was the wrong assumption. I thought that this was going to be a new way for me to change and develop my life. And up until the time the letter of rejection came through, I had a very positive feeling about small colleges, church-related colleges, and especially Doane College. It took high officials from our denomination to help the administration here to rescind that letter that denied my friend and I admittance to Doane College. And the rejection is very difficult. They finally found two students who agreed to a room with us, the late Dr. Donald Goodrich of Fairmont and Mary Ann Stevens from Grand Island. And it all worked out very well. The positive response to be roommates and took steps of courage, in that day and at a time at Doane College. Let's have you think about another angle of that story. Don and Mary Ann were courageous. They did do what was right in my position, from my point of view. But I've never heard anybody talk about the courage that Georgetta and I had to leave our families, to leave our community, to leave our comfort zone of black people where we lived in the south side of Chicago, to leave our church, to leave our youth group, to come to Doane College in Crete, Nebraska. So that's the second side of the story. The story, as you know it now, got better. A remnant of that national church group went to work and made it possible for us to come, and everything began to change. And our presence, Georgetta's presence and my presence, helped to change the atmosphere and the thinking of our fellow students at Doane College. Over my many years, I've discovered that the very heart of life is relationships that you build. They are what makes you part of a team, and your teammates are your treasured bench players. They are your circle of influence. As I mentioned at the start, our memories are influential in how we go about living each day and each hour. As I look back over my long life and experiences, there have been quite a number of terrible events in the world and in this country. As was the case when I was growing up in my life, there have been physical, emotional, mental trials, divisiveness, racism throughout these long years. So let's be honest. You too are in the same kind of era where anger and hatred and disbelief and disapproval exist. However, here I am at the age of 96, and I can look back and actually see the astonishing brightness of some things. The sorrows I remember are pitted against the exhilarating convictions of ordinary folks who were heroes living with the belief that they, each in their own way, could make a difference. They were committed to acts of courage. And that torch has been passed to you, Doane graduates, in the class of 2024. You are filled with the capacity for acts of courage and the ability to change things and make them better. You can have the joy of knowing that you have made the life of every one other person better, improved the communities where you live, modeled an affirming respect for all others in the human family. In other words, you can shape history, with every kind of gesture and welcoming endeavor that you can pull together. Do you know that there are 12,000 colleges and universities in America? 12,000 graduations this month, chances are. And that number means how many students your age, with your abilities and with your training, are going out into the world. They have the opportunity to have acts of courage to improve the conditions of life in which they live. You can live with the acts of courage. My message on this occasion could have taken me in a very different level. I'd like to cite two examples of people who have had acts, who have devoted themselves to acts of courage. And these two issues are with Doane students. First of all, we've mentioned Don Goodrich and Mary Ann Stevens. But the second group of Doane students, which never had much press for the 4 years that they did this, 4 to 6 years, the psychology professor, Marcy Freer, wanted the Doane students to do service projects. Many Doane students at the winter break term would go to Florida, would go skiing in the mountains, would go overseas. And so she thought there should be some way we could harness some of that energy and experience and put young people to work in service projects. And so she courageously put a sign up, and we had a number of students, 12 the first year, I think, to engage in that project. What was the project? The project was that she would bring 12 to 15 students to the city of New York. We would work in the East Harlem Protestant Parish, the most underserved part of the city of New York. They would live with families and individuals in that parish. Every morning they would go to work from 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. They would do things like, babysit, work in the libraries, work in soup kitchens, work in helping teachers have a second person of teaching in their classes. And they did this. And after 4 o'clock, they were on their own to enjoy the places and the pleasures of the Big Apple. And they did this during the winter break. And there were two parts to this thing. They did the work in the morning. In the afternoon, they went out and enjoyed themselves. But Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday was in that same block of time. And so they would give me 1 day of their work and come to my home, and they would share with me what they were doing, what they had learned, what they experienced. And in exchange for that, they would ask me to talk about the civil rights movement, excuse me, and Martin Luther King Jr. It was a wonderful opportunity. On one occasion when they were there, 1 year, I learned that Bishop Desmond Tutu from South Africa was coming to America, and he would be staying with friends in New York City. And I was able to get a hold of him to have him to preach his first sermon in a Harlem church on that particular Sunday afternoon. Interfaith service for Jewish and Christians, and everybody came together in a black church that seated about 800 people. And on the front row, there were the 12 Doane students and their two advisors, Dr. Freer and her associate. And at the end of that service, and Bishop Tutu really put the place on fire, they had a chance to shake hands with him. They were the minority in that church that afternoon. They will never forget that. So there were times when anybody, whoever you are and what the path of life you take, where you may be, you can engage in acts of courage. Acts of courage. I have marched. I've been in sit-ins and demonstrations. And prior to and during the civil rights movement, my best work in race and social justice has been in one-on-one or small group situations when it comes to race and social justice. What has been most rewarding for me is the power of personal and interpersonal relationships. All too often, we work with stereotypes. rather than reality. And that's what happened to me when I first came to Doane College. But being face to face with others who were different from myself changed my perspective considerably and forever. That's why any viable campus must must be as inclusive as possible. We are all part of one human family, and we all deserve equity when we study together. We learn that each of us has a story to tell. Diverse conversations we have enable the possibility of broadening our horizons and building a cohesive sense of community and society. This is true in the workplace where you will be going, and this is true wherever we live in this country we call America. The better we do at including others within our sphere of positive consideration, the better all of us will be. At the top of my list are those who will work diligently for the well-being of others, especially those who endure discrimination and bias and racial prejudice and comments. Doane University has taught you the value of being inquisitive and saying, I don't know, let me find out. That attitude makes it possible to look at the things anew, keep asking questions, especially when a conclusion is elusive. That is being courageous. It takes courage to know that the true intention of goodness involves sharing each other's burdens, that you may not always be as easy as you would like it to be, but things usually work out. And as Spike Lee would say in his movie, things do get better. At the core of it all is a sense of humility. That entails honoring the gifts of others and being willing to work on a cooperative basis. I believe the best things are done individually. They are the results of combined efforts toward common good, a common good. Each of us is unique in our shared humanities, but each of us is like a unique part of a marvelous quilt. Each piece is different. Each shape is different. Each size is different. Each color is different until we have the pattern. And that means we are irreplaceable. For me, that suggests each of us has something special to give to the world that you will be going out into. Walt Whitman wrote about going out into an unknown region with no map or guide. I dispute that. You have a map that was provided to you here at Doane University. It consists of an education that has embedded in you a deep sense of curiosity and generosity and leadership. And you will be able to take your degree and your learning out into the world and make it a better place through your moral compass. I have spent my entire life in building bridges of understanding among and breaking down the walls that separate us. I ask you, Doane students, to embrace that same community by picking up the torch I and others have been carrying and send that flame onward and take that flame onward. Doane has made you strong and alert. You also will have to be filled with courage for the road that lies ahead. I know you will know the aliveness when you see it, as you know, and how to commit yourselves for that road that is ahead of you, so that you can be among those when the saying goes, well done, good and faithful servants. And always, always remember, please remember, that our Creator has made all of us courageous souls out of stardust. My congratulations, best wishes, and God's blessings on all of you, especially the class of 2024. And may you do well.
You want to stay here or do you want to go?
Thank you again, Reverend Dr. Polk, for joining us today. Wasn't that a remarkable address? Everyone, please, one more round of applause for Reverend Dr. Polk. Graduates, it's now your time to participate. Will all the candidates who are to receive their baccalaureate degrees please rise and remain standing? Dr. Hughes, on behalf of the faculty, I certify that the candidates who are present have completed all of their academic requirements and are entitled to receive their baccalaureate degree.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty, and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the state of Nebraska, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, together with all the rights, privileges, honors, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. As a sign of the awarding of this degree, please transfer your tassel to the left side.
Graduates, you can sit down until your roll is called. Dalton Abbott. Matt Adamek. John Sheridan Atkins. Jeremy Allgaier. Kirsten Lee Anderson. Matthew Nicholas Arendt. Daniela Alexandra Avalos, cum laude. Kyler Beekman. Drew William Beer. Thomas Benninghoff. Brianna Beerley. Haley Ann Blecka. Jordan Marie Bolte. Zane Patrick Boudreau, magna cum laude. Jaden Christine Branson. Riley Janessa Brazda. Jaron Thomas Brown. Kate Renee Bruns, summa cum laude. Cody Dwayne Bisher, cum laude. Samantha June Bow. Michaela Emily Burnett. Logan Thomas Chupek. Alexis Carvajal Romero, cum laude. Tiffany Lynn Carnahan. Isabella Alexandra Chapo, summa cum laude. Skylar Martin Clark. Peyton Jean Marie Cooley, magna cum laude. Caitlin Alina Cotton. Garrett Michael Dalton. Grace Ann Deming. Annabelle Grace Doherty, summa cum laude. Jada Ann DeYoung. Peyton Ann DeTavernier. Olivia Regina Diggins. Benjamin Dobler, cum laude. Emma Dobrek. Edison Ann Dorn. Persephone Earl. Sydney Joelle Erickson, magna cum laude. Cole Ryan Essex. Jackson Reed Urek. Ryan Conrad Evans. Nicole Everhart. Ty Jackson Faulkner. Robert Ferrara Foote. Nathaniel Kenneth Fox. Michael Lloyd Frederick. Macy Jean Fuller. Zachary Ray Phi, cum laude. Josiah Nashon Gaffel Gardner. Denise Elizabeth Gomez. Nicholas Dwayne Gray. Corina Grimaldo. Josh Governor, cum laude. Emily Nicole Gayton. Seth Hagan. Haley Hannah Halstead. Anna Caroline Harvison, magna cum laude. Jordan Michael Hines, cum laude. Zoe Rain Hendricks. Annalise Annette Henriksen. Kylie Alexandria Hughes, summa cum laude. Federico Andrés Infante Santana. Kenisha Kiki Jackson. James Allen Cashlin. Cassie Ann Kessler, cum laude. Kinsey Drew Knorr. Matthew Capso. Ezekiel Krejci Hyde. Owen Reed Kuntz. Nakea Kuski. summa cum laude. Olivia Jane Kuzas. Alec Reed Larrabee. Guilherme Viviani. Ivana Abigail Lopez Hernandez. Jaden Isaac Lothrop. Juan Felipe Lozano Merizalde. Jesús Miranda Sandoval. Andrew James Mahoney. Trevor Michael Malone. Edward Raimundo Martinez. David Mascareñas. Jules Nicole McDowell. Kylie Madison Meinke, magna cum laude. Grayson Dean Meyer, cum laude. Kendall Alexis Meyer. Brian Michael Majerski. Brittany Miller. Kayla Jean Miller. Rachel Elizabeth Mitleider. Guy Wesley Moran III. Matthew Scott Morban. Isaiah Morris, cum laude. Carly Ray Muff. Olivia Jasmine Knoll. Olivia Navarro Alcina, summa cum laude. Justin Rocco Nevels, summa cum laude. Thomas Michael Oliver. Inti Nicholas Olmos Steinbach. Chelsea Aliyah Ordaz. Raven Joe Ovens. Haley Michelle Peak, summa cum laude. Juan Isaac Perez, summa cum laude. Cameron Ann Plock, cum laude. Chandler Stephen Pullen. Harry Michael Pulliam III. Julia Ramirez, magna cum laude. Marcos Randazzo. Carter Reckling. Abby Nicole Reedy. Audrey Reinhardt. Sabrina Elena Renderos Bonilla. Mackenzie K. Renner. McKenna Nicole Revis. Riley Vicente Reyes. Riley May Rice. Nathan Michael Rizak. Nicholas Ryan Size. Arturo Salinas Jr. Michael Anthony Scarponi. Garrett Sheet. Madison Rose Schneider. Zachary Michael Schuhart, cum laude. Jackson William Seward. Cooper Matthew Sheldon. Sarah Chavanel. Lauren Jean Sifkin. Elsie Nayela Sierra Valle. Anna Jean Sluka. Jared Alexander Smith, magna cum laude. Briggs Songster. Blair Rhonda Sochak. It is a tradition for a faculty member who's a parent to deliver the diploma to their children at graduation. Evan Charles Stiles. Landon Stocks. Seth Lonnie Swiney, cum laude. Sarah Jane Tyler. Alisa Mary Jane Tonages, cum laude. Alexis Danielle Torak. Tori Tucker. Zachary Adam Turner. Teyungo Ephraim Yongo. Molly Ray Vanderham. Christopher Ty Vincent, magna cum laude. Kellen Foster Vogesser. Olivia Catherine Vore. Thomas David Wado. Jada Joel Wyand. Miles Christopher Wheatley. Dylan James White. Megan Kelsey Wiley. Chrismer Nicole Williams Romero. Emma Christine Woods. Bronson Robert Wyman. Frazzy Lee Wynn. Trey Anthony Yates. Mason Zimmerman. This concludes the reading of the names of the graduates this afternoon. President Hughes.
Thank you, Pedro. Again, congratulations to the graduates and to the families and friends that supported them while pursuing their degrees. Well done. I know everyone is anxious to get out of the sun and to begin the celebration, but it's also a president's job to give just a little advice before we send you on your way. With your Doane degree, you are now part of a 152-year history and are joining a group of distinguished Doane alumni all over the world. As I said during my welcome, at Doane we build leaders, which means as a graduate, you are built to lead. As you engage fellow Doane alumni, you now know they are also built to lead. So here are 5 things that I would ask you to think about as you leave your home, go to your apartment, go to your office, go to grad school. Number 1, faith. Faith in your God, faith in yourself, faith in your calling, faith in your team. Keep the faith because you are built to lead. Number 2, don't believe the hype. You're not as good when you win or as bad when you lose as people or the world tells you. You'll be constantly bombarded by all this white noise. Block it out. Focus on what really matters. Keep the most important thing the most important thing. Keep Dr. Polk's example of leading with humility in your hearts because you are built to lead. Number 3, make things better. Wherever you go, whatever you do, leave it better than you found it. Every person you come in contact with, make them better. Too many people want to gripe about what's wrong in the world, but they won't do anything to fix it. When you see wrong going on, roll up your sleeves and do something about it. Do not be passive. If you go help someone, and that person helps someone, and that person helps someone, I believe in the butterfly effect. You will have the ability to change the world. Don't be passive because you are built to lead. Number 4, hard work and perseverance trump talent every time. Let me say that again. Hard work and perseverance trump talent every time. That's pretty self-explanatory. And number 5, the strong take from the weak, but the smart take from the strong. The strong take from the weak, but the smart take from the strong. You are Doane graduates. You are built to lead. You are smart and you're strong. We take from everybody. And I don't mean to make that sound harsh. I don't mean to make that sound harsh. What I'm trying to say to you is that you leave here, the world you enter is going to have bumps in the road. You can choose for them to be obstacles or opportunities. Don't waste 1 second thinking you're not up to the task. Do not waste one instant thinking because there are bigger schools and bigger cities you don't measure up. I say again, you are a Doane graduate. And at Doane, we are changing the world one graduate at a time. Yes, we do build leaders. Yes, we do. Thanks for the help. Thank you. I tell you what, you already got your master's right now. I just gave that to you. At Doane, we are changing the world one graduate at a time. Be part of the positive change. Congratulations to the graduates. Congratulations to all the families and friends for coming. Marable ring, go Tigers. Will Julia Ramirez please come forward once again? Will everyone please stand as Julia leads us in the singing of the Doane hymn found in your programs, and remain standing while 2024 graduate Kismar Williams comes forward to give the closing reflection.
Your hymn is on page 5. Please join me in singing. A hymn of praise we lift to thee, O God, whom we revere. For down thy holy gift to us, our alma mater dear.
As our classes and grades are now completed, may you strive towards excellence in all you do. As the speeches conclude, may your voices rise up to pronounce justice and peace in the world. As the fanfare ceases, may you sing of joy, even in the dark and lonely places. As the applaud quiets, may you celebrate and lift up those around you. As you graduate, may your achievements grow and cause growth in your communities. And may we all know of the overwhelming blessings of the one who created all things.
Marshals, please prepare for the recessional.
Mr. Marshall.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for attending the 2024 Doane University Spring Commencement Ceremony. Thank you for spending some of your afternoon on Nebraska's most beautiful university campus. Please join us in congratulating our graduates. You are dismissed. Please travel home safely and have a great afternoon.
Music folders in the tub in the